Hi guys. I just want to say hi. I still haven't figured out the live stream. I have it on the phone. I just don't know how to get to work it that it actually connects live, I guess, or records. And it would be really awesome because I really miss y'all. Um, we have to check in and stuff. Um, um it's um in the Sierras, the small towns are noticeably more conservative and more Republican oriented, and I've just seen an uprise like for the last 4 years, anywhere from here on and north. Just a lot more. I don't even know how to name them because I didn't grow up kind of with those kind of people like the Confederate kind of Um, I don't know if it's offensive to say redneck with like culture. I don't know what the non derogative word is. Or I don't know. So I apologize if I could be naming that more appropriately. But there's like those kind of people who are much more involved in this community watch type groups like George Zimmerman, and those are the people who are actually involved openly in like harassing me and um, breaking my car down. I don't know what Slab City has to do with that actually, because there are some Confederate people, but they weren't really in the. Let's see. Wait, what's that? Baba. There's a car park down like across from me there, and they came and harassed my dogs and me earlier. I look kind of bad. Sorry, guys. I look so tired? Jesus. Wait, what's going on, man? It's all swollen. Okay, I'll check that in a minute. Sorry. I realize that I actually don't check the mirror that often. But that there's something off here. Um, sorry about that. So yeah, that car. I don't know, cause it's kind of unusual to have anyone really around here. I made a movie earlier here, and the most people that come through work here. And those are the trucks with the like brightly labeled. Cause it gives them kind of a valid way to enforce things. Um, I I'm reaching out because the gas prices were very high, and my trip to San Diego kind of took most of my support. And it was really worth it. I think I needed a wake up call about my teeth, and also get back here where I met the doctor for the first time, or the second time, I think, afterwards now. And then before, yeah, last week was just before um, the visit in San Diego, the dentist office and stuff. Um, but I don't know even how to explain this. Like, these teeth are I like to fall out, but because there's this like the roots have disappeared, or they actually don't have any bone. Yeah, because they didn't have any bone to hold on to, and then there's a separate issue with my jaw that um started 7 years ago after an assault, and I think I probably mentioned it already 20,000 times, and so I apologize. But the truth is that the first hospital didn't really believe that it was broken, and then they refused further treatment. They were like, "Oh, it's not necessary." The second hospital was actually quite great, but they missed that the jaw was dislocated inwards, which is kind of a technique. I will explain the fall or the attack technique sometimes. It's a little too much right now, and I don't want to go into gory details if possible. Um, so And so they wired my jaw, but for 10 weeks it was just basically in the wrong position. And I ended up in the ER like several times a week with a locking jaw. And then it disappeared. So it broke down like actually after they pulled out the wires without anesthesia. And I felt actually break, and they didn't believe me. And actually just like it disappeared. And then this side is disappearing too. And he have been basically discussing whether we need to use uh, those things that you put in there that holds like this part or something, if you need to only replace these. I don't know if you call it bridges. I'm not familiar with that language as yet, and that's what part of it is so overwhelming and intimidating. And in order to make sure that I do the best for my body now and in the near future and the long-term future, I actually need to kind of know that jargon and stuff so that I can actually advocate for things that I didn't really know about. For example, I know that certain people actually have this replaced. Have this kind of lost bone replaced, and then put these dentures, partial dentures in there, and that would be a much better option than losing all my teeth, for example, and then actually losing my jaw quite fast after that as well. And that's yeah. So this I don't even know how to explain it. This has to do with trauma, and surgeries also exacerbates the inflammation process, and once that like this side also is like it is so fast. Instead of 40 years, it's like 6 months or 2 years. All the cartilage in my head was gone in 2 years, and that's like normally it takes 40 years, or someone who's 80 years old like still like 10 years or so. And if not, it's also a reason to be very alerted. But I'm actually kind of also checking in of like I'm trying to find like a counselor so I can actually kind of process and discuss things related to the trauma and the kind of malpractice at the hospitals, like, and then the neglect, and then me having to move away for violence, and really being blamed for that every single day, actually, of like there's nothing in place to really ensure that I um can meet my needs in a way that actually helped me as a survivor or victim. And I've done so much work in San Francisco and beyond for other people, and it's just kind of painful at this time that I just try to tell myself like, oh, I don't want help, or I'm not worth it, or yeah, I'm the one who refuses. But I can't say that to myself because I've driven like 800 miles, like so many times round trip, just to see a doctor, to ask them to please continue my care. That I can't just say that it's just me. And if it's just me, at least have that part in control, and that's the part that I've reached out to you about, because it is very like I said, impactful having you there live in the exam room, and me having to think twice of like, dude, I don't actually know how to talk to these professionals, and I can't just do my regular like blurring out stuff, because one, I know that it puts people away, and two, that it um it's a default setting. It's not something I'm doing on purpose, but nevertheless need to be able to push myself beyond. And the last few visits have been very different, because even when I talk to you live, while they're not in the room, they're overhearing me as well. They're sitting next door. You know, I hear them actually kind of praising and like coughing, like kind of in relief. Um, and sometimes not being so happy, like even when I talk very positively in Raleigh, where I got turned away, the doctor that let me know, and the police that they were overhearing me talking. um and yes, they may think I'm talking to myself, but if that would save my life, I don't understand actually why that would matter. And that's when I'm kind of I kind of try to support people in Slab City who were kind of not been very nice to me when I was there, and some people had to protect their reputation. And I just know that when I am able to take the higher route, that I notice just that people are open to just drop their guards and be themselves again. But I reached out like online, kind of by trying to be supportive and ask people to be kind of more aware of that when people in a horrible situation, that it's maybe not the most constructive like way to make these like pretty hurtful comments. And I don't understand it, because I thankfully don't have that actually going on. And if it one time happened, I have people just kind of cutting that short real quickly for me, or allow me to do that. And so I don't maybe understand enough about like the online way of like trashing people when they are really really low. Like, just if I'm sitting here crying right now and you're gonna write that I'm a failure and I don't amount to nothing in the comments, I don't know. It is, I don't know if it says more about me or about the person commenting. And I've just noticed like a pretty mean trend in the Slab City threads, that people just continue to do that, and it's sort of like almost in person, but in person you can't really like speak safely or freely, because there is this huge group dynamic that those same kind of people actually use, and in social and public situations. And then there is a big chance that they will burn you down or kill you. And I don't understand why I have to be so quiet about that. Like, wouldn't you want to know if your child like ends up there, and just, you know, like me sitting here crying and have no one to talk to or to reach out because they burned too many bridges, just like I've done a lot of times. And it takes time to repair those things. And sometimes it's just too much. Like, I have really good friends, to be honest, but the only way that they remain good friends is by having them tell me that I cannot reach out to them when I really, really need them. And that doesn't mean anything really other than respecting their boundary and dealing with what feelings that brings up for me with myself and people who are able to help me with that a little bit. But they have all the right to do that. And then I know that I'm not the only one like that, people. I know that there are a lot of people out there at the moment just talking to a camera or no one and just trying to get through the next minute. It doesn't make me more or less mentally ill or it's weaker. I don't understand it. What's wrong, Sophie? It's okay. It's okay. What's wrong? It's okay. Oh, oh, the kids. Oh, it's okay. Oh, oh, it's okay, Sophie. Oh, my new baby, guys. Actually, but I just think it was very hard to walk away from Slab City and being so silenced and so threatened with violence and like having the same kind of comments in person and then yeah, calling me a tweaker. I I don't know because there's such a negative connotation about that. It's like the worst of the worst in like Slab City, but also in a lot of other places like in the poor neighborhoods in San Francisco. You can be on crack or heroin, but when you're tweaking, it's just not really working out at all. And so, I am so fortunate that I never had to fall back on any of that shit. I can't imagine having to sit there completely strung out or whatever you call that, burned out or because life is already so shit and I know like from like for example not being able to eat gluten and believe me I die for gluten seriously I will sell my dog for it basically if you give me a sandwich right now like and then I can't stop like it's like one alcohol drink it's like one sandwich it's like I will eat till I'm 200 pounds again and literally can't get out of bed like that's addiction it may not be what is it mad or it's just another way does it make me worse or better? No. Do I deserve to get shit comments online other than like, wait, wow, I'm glad that you're taking charge of that. Of hey, are you aware of that? Like, maybe we can help you take charge of things, or like, let us know when you're ready. Like, there's so many other ways to fucking like, sorry, to like comment, and I'm not the best one either. I'm not perfect. I'm like I step up on people's wrong toes, like with my long-winded like comments and like narrative way speaking, and but not with intention, especially if I'm thinking about it. So then I'm wondering, like maybe these people don't also do that very on purpose. They don't realize that they are being hurtful, or like, cause they're not all trolls, you know. There are actually people who are just like openly that I know they're just shitheads in real life as well, and they don't care online either. Is this, you know, in real life they can just better hide it, and it seems like they kind of take a more of a stand online of like, look, I'm this shithead, I can say whatever I want, take it or leave it. Yeah, so I reached out to the mother whose daughter has been missing or out of touch with her for quite a while, and she wants to know where she is. And I had a hard time reading this woman because it's someone's mother, you know. And so I don't know if she has blocked my connection, or that she has blocked everyone, or but I know that she put out another post. If anyone can get in touch with her for me, she doesn't need to be talking to me directly, but I actually have met or have seen her daughter, and it was, it's just not always the best situation to explain online on what circumstances they were. And so yeah, please let her know, if anyone from Slab City hears this, that I could provide more info if that would feel calming for her. If it's more upsetting, I understand, but she did put a post out this morning, and I don't know why, because those are the people who kind of really ensure that people don't really hear about what parts also really going down in Slab City. And that's the thing, it does go down in bad shapes everywhere else as well. It's not anything special in Slab City. So why would it not have dark sides in a lawless, self-governed community with a tweaker epidemic coming on? I don't want my child to go over there and not know about that and be prepared for that. I don't want that mom to know that her child I'm sorry, dude. And I don't know why I am touched by it. Like I said, these people that I reached out for were pretty mean. Not just to me. I know that I've hurt other people in their hurt, but I had nothing to do with that. And however ways they hurt me, they went out of their way. And again, if people go around calling me paranoid or mentally ill, it's so disempowering and unfair about things that really happened, and not give me credit that I would tell you. Just really honestly, hey, I have some issues there and that. Just like I've shared some of my other issues, that allows to give you a little bit more of a better picture of why I may have to go a different route with my teeth, for example. That's not just pure refusal or trauma, that there's a medical and class issue involved, that it just takes a little bit more work. So the same there, just because things happen and they weren't there, it's so shocking to me that there's such a tight-knit community of people who aren't necessarily the worst assailants, but they aren't the victims either. They definitely happen to have a much better skill set in navigating and delegating other people, basically, to ensure that they're safe themselves, basically. And again, this is very innately natural. What is also natural, or should be sort of natural, is being really to fend for the people who are less visible and voiceless or less have a voice to the table. And I really kind of appreciated Cardi B. um I think she refused to perform at the Super Bowl in order to honor Kaepernick, because what she was saying was like, if we don't stand up for the people with less voice or visibilities, who is gonna do that for us when we are in a horrible situation? Or and I think in a way that when I try to open up a conversation on Facebook, I actually just commenting real shit, but in the most constructive way, I feel like, without trying to lash out or calling people tweakers, or like that. I am kind of trying to advocate for myself and others to like create space for people with different views nowadays, and that not everyone believes in like, oh, we're all for ourselves and we own this little piece of land that I put my foot on. It's unfortunately really triggering just to see that going down, because it's how they, as in the same kind of same people came to the Caribbean and continue to come to the Caribbean islands, and this now the moment they put food on it for $1 per square foot or something, it's their land. And it's like, what about the indigenous people? What about the original people? Or not even original, just the people who are already living there. Like, and bloody hell, if you didn't go somewhere and build a community, do that for everyone, not just for yourself and your family. That's so unheard of. I'm sorry, bro. That it's like, of all the countries I've traveled, and I've traveled quite extensively, to be honest, precisely to see different cultures, how they. I'm saying, I thought it might be a mouse again. Precisely how they the poorer communities, or the most like, yeah, violent ridden, like resourceless communities come together and really stick together, because they know that if they don't stick together, that it like impacts all of them in the end. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, but for your generation and your next future generation, you really want to be there and for each other. And this whole concept of like, be there for yourself. I was in graduate school and I studied that Western cultures implement that on purpose to like create isolation and depression, or like those were side effects, but intensely, so to really keep certain groups of people to from growing and thriving, and in America. And so this has been documented, this has been researched, this has been spoken up about. This has been changed. There have been so many communities who stood up and said, no, we prioritize our families, and with that, our communities, ourselves, we want to run this. We need to rule this, but together. And for me, it's really shocking to encounter so much resistance and backwards ideas in Slab City, while at the same time they promoting that they are the opposite, because the idea of free is actually kind of like, oh, you can do whatever what you want, and you can make it what you make it of it. No, you can't. What are you talking about? even sitting me here alone, you need other people, and you need a way to do that in a way that you give back and take, so that you can move forward. But I've seriously, like, I've not seen anyone like do that alone, or like they say that, but it's like, why they had the money or the physical power or the management skills or even the mobster skills to make other people work for them or with them. Yeah, there have been people fixing their camp alone, but they're not like growing their grain and then like process that, and then 6 months later they can make a pizza, and then the whole 6 months they don't like go to a store or buy eggs from the neighbor. Like, that's that independent system that the African cultures thrived on, the South American cultures thrived on. um I believe the Native American cultures too. um and I have to sit here being ashamed that I even want to just speak up about that, because I have really, there is no world out here where I'm welcome living off grid under like a certain amount of income. It's just not there. Unless again it's a situation where exploitation is big or you pay a very big price, and so that's not like, oh, you make, no, they tell you and they control what you make from it. Now, I'm not saying that that works like that in Slab City. However, the group dynamic is so strong there that it is very clear that th- nah, there's nothing really possible without like just ensuring you have a good network there. And certain people really do have that there. I don't know if I agree with the way that they are doing it. And I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I have encountered many, many, many more people than in other places who display overly well narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic, borderline behaviors. And some people really also just come forward and tell me that they've been diagnosed with that stuff. But I have not met any other place, maybe in jail, but I've not been in jail like that, that there is such a concentrated group of people who portray that kind of type cutthroat kind of characteristics there. And then I think it makes sense to me, because at some point these people have been chewed out everywhere else, or they've chewed out anyone. And this, whether you hit bottom or whether you're someone who has used up all their people or resources, they end up there kind of stuck for a while as well. And for some of it actually works. It really pays off there. Like, yeah, actually, whether it's for YouTube or scaffolding, or some people really like in that range, or actually, I would say that's the group of people I can identify is the most successful. But you want to run from every one of them. They may be popular on YouTube and stuff, and God bless them, but there's not like a necessarily like togetherness in like among them too much. Though, again, the group dynamic has been very strong. I just don't think it's very organized. I think it's more peer pressure and people fearful that they're being burnt out or run off or raped or left to die. Because again, it all takes a lie online, and even mothers don't believe that you don't use drugs. Like, it's mothers of other children, I'm talking about that mom. And I'm like, dude, do you understand that that daughter actually could be saved, or at least ensure that she knows that her mother is kind of sincerely concerned and that she doesn't need anything, but that could make a difference. It could make a difference, not today, but maybe in a year. Like, I mean, Freeman is online today thanking finally that he's in touch back with people again. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what's helpful. I don't know if it's going to work out for him, or, but he's one of those slab city people who had to leave there kind of in a hurry and not really having a way to, like, take advantage basically of those things that work for other people. And yeah, there are all the speculations about drug use or trouble or how to say it, drama. But again, I'm so far from perfect, and I've fucked up so many things and so many times. And I've told you, I'm crying online that I Pastor Dave in Slab City is the only place was welcome, and I'm just not the only one, guys. Like, you know that. And it just hurts me to see, like, the people in their pain or the limited, like, empathy, or I don't know what it is, because I don't want to turn out like that. And it easily can, I believe, in Slab City. I believe there's a point where there's a switch, like you're on crystal meth or a born psychopath, that you don't care really anymore, and you do trust people for other reasons than making sense, basically. And I want to say, I hope I'm not like that, but they tried to kill me and my dogs. I ain't gonna put up with this shit. What you thinking? It's Slab City, bro. I'm not proud of it, but if you're gonna fucking take my car and hurt my dogs and poison my dog and fed kill me, attack me in the hot springs and shit, take my camp, I don't know, laugh at my ass, just publicly shame me, just asking people to actually, stand up and ensuring that I just can keep my dogs and be safe, getting coffee in the morning. I don't know, it's kind of hard to understand that can cost you your life as well, and that you have to fight life and death. And again, if there was another space right now where I could be off grid and similarly to Slab City, but people are willing to, like, put a lot more effort in it for the greater good, in different ways. It doesn't need to be money or 40 hours a week, or just the intention is already so much more hopeful, I feel like, or promising. I've never been feeling this discouraged that I just want other people to be able to be at their best, because I know how it is when you just sit there and you fucked up so much. And again, just because I have no drug issue doesn't mean that my trauma and the way I responded to it has pushed away so many people and has hurt them so much. And the people who have dropped me, I feel so hurt still today, and I understand them. But to call me a failure or to ask to come down on me because I ask actually other people to kind of keep in mind that it's people's kids, and you can't just blame them for violence that was violence. And that's the weirdest part about Slab City. Like, there's such a blaming culture that this whole idea of like, no, I don't put myself in wrong situations or with the wrong company. I at least I just remove myself from those situations. But like the whole idea of like that someone should be able to walk around naked and you still have to not the right to violate them, or like, that's not counting there at all. Like, first of all, we're naked or half naked in the hot springs. And in a way, they do blame you there for like not being naked but having a drug issue or trusting the wrong person, and none of that. Me with a background in advocacy for survivors of assault, sexual assault, or domestic violence, I have never trained my volunteers at SFR. Oh yeah, just tell them to be smarter next time, or they must have put themselves in that situation, or it's like that you don't need to be a trained volunteer for that to like understand that it's another way to silence people instead of asking, hey, shit, what happened? How can we like prevent that next time from happening, bro? Like, there are still videos online of people in response to a video a year and 2 months ago, 3 months ago, for a couple from Spokane, Washington, that reported to have been roofied, and then one of them, after being separated, gang assaulted. There's still people bragging online about that this person was like pushing themselves on them and blah blah. What happened about people being under influence and leaving the fuck alone and to really allow them to be safe? Not saying that they were safe, but actually really, and including afterwards that, hey, shit, if something happened, wow, we kept them safe. That's actually on our parade. We should be killed over that shit, basically. That we let that happen under our watch instead of bragging about it. And then hearing from friends that they were at the hot springs that night and they saw roofies there and they didn't intervene or speak up about that, it just becomes really a lot. But then the ongoing shit that has happened the last semester, and again, I don't thrive very well right now or anywhere else, because that one place to be at night where I can come back and make sure that my blankets are washed, that I have cheap enough food, that I don't waste all this gas on finding a safe place to sleep. If I'm being harassed, that I can go to Pastor Dave, whether his neighbor hurts me or gonna hurt me or not, I know who to hurt back if it really comes push to shove, to be able to defend myself. Here, no. There are people coming up several times right now today already threatening me. They throw shit at the car while they're waiting for me while I'm driving. So they're in the median, and they throw open a window in the shitty arm and throwing shit. They come up at my other camping space and terrorize my dogs and me. There's nothing I can do about it, and it's happening. It's very much happening. Has nothing to do with Slab City. Or it does. I don't care. I'm just saying the things that happened there similarly, I was able to address and stop. And as shit as that place is, and as hurt and dysfunctional most of these residents are there, and yes, I call you out on this. I'm one of them. I'm not better or less than them. But to have then a group of privileged, abled people holding down the control and really, really stopping things like getting community water back. That I have not met any community that cannot do that within so many months, or like Flint, like people actually step it up, bro. No, not just the government, because the government let Flint hanging for very long. And again, just like us there in Slab City, people have families. These kids need to drink water. They need to be able to brush their teeth, and not in canal water. Like and there are projects like Jaden Smith. No, yeah, Jaden. Will Smith, yeah, Jaden Smith, who put a water box there in Flint now, and it's being like with donor with water, and basic transition out with a membership plan, or able to that community members can buy and add more themselves as well, and have more control, and not that it's one day the water box is gone, just like it was in Slab City. Overnight, the one water source was gone, and don't underestimate what one missing basic need does. It switches all the hierarchies and abilities um, to allow people to survive. Seriously, I've been in safe house where the staff on purpose didn't put toilet paper out at night. It became Lord of the Flies like Slab City. These moms will not let their kids like walk around with a dirty butt. Like they don't want to be seen like that. So one small resource changed the whole attitude and the whole like it incited violence. And that's the same in Slab City, whether it's directly, openly correlated or not. And the fact that I'm sitting here talking about these things is because I don't believe they're hopeless. I don't believe they're unchangeable. I believe that if enough people like me continue to come together and to continue to work for the community things I've been working on, like community water, like vegetables available, that in the end, these people, just like in this larger society, they kind of back off. They kind of aren't really helpful, and except for in their own little whatever you call that, because it's not like a fort or something, because it's not really more than a lot symbolism, and because that we could expand the symbolism and include more people and allow other people to thrive as well. And just for me speaking up and getting death threats over that, and assaults, and being completely run into the ground, while I already encounter so many obstacles each day elsewhere, I think it's a missed opportunity for me, or like for them to have me over there. And I'm not the only one. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of skills and resources just being trashed. And I just wanted to share that for a minute, because I don't want to go online there and waste my energy and have other people actually can control my Facebook and email, because remember they took that in December. So yeah, That was part of why I started to talk live, because a lot of my movies actually don't come through, or pictures disappear, or posts disappear, emails disappear. My access to my emails disappears. But so I'm sorry if it's in the most happy video. I I have such a big background in the deconstruction of like system of oppression and privileges, and I'm thankful for that. I went to the Bay Area to do that work for 10 years because I couldn't live in these kind of situations and have people just walk completely over you and control you and exploit you and then blame you and then trash you and then deport you. It's like people do that. These kind of people do that. And if you don't have the right rhetoric, I don't know if that's the word, like discourse, they win. I, whoever those people are, who I don't know if they're still sitting there right now. I don't really care actually, but who will show up tonight again and turn on my alarm at 3 a.m. and I have to jump out of the car and I have 3 days of worsened PTSD and I can't sleep at all actually anymore. Um, they they'll do that, and Slab City was one place at least I can hands-on address that and stop that. Here I can't. They control my door today again on the Safeway or the Vons parking lot. They come by and turn on my alarm in the middle of the night, and knowing where I am, and then remember, because they park very close, as in, and then scoot away, honking and laughing when I fall out of the car, because again I can't really move very fast, and it has injured me extensively actually. Now having to ensure my dogs aren't terrified, and I'm too. It's bad enough that the hacking started in Slab City. These people have access to the dark web, and again, I'm not innocent on this. I'm not saying that I'm leaving people to die, but I I definitely have not sat back and said, "Oh yeah, walk over me, yeah, kill my friend." No, I bloody hell take that on heads on. I just think that just like the handful of people I found in Slab City, they have conflict resolution or de-escalation skills, and they have another way of like resolving this and making sure that people aren't gonna burn other people down and kill them or rape them or protect rapists. Um, yeah, so I'm kind of hungry right now, and the food bank turned me away, and the food that I actually kind of found at the Salvation Army, and yes, I did finally learn that from Slab City. I haven't done that past the day. I have not walked off with your shit in your pantry that's just laying there outside, but I did learn from Domino. um, and I did wait for her night after night, and I realized at some point I couldn't necessarily settle scores, but I saw her do her job, and I was like, well, I told the captain today, I'm very hungry, and she verbalized it to me. She's like, yeah, it's very hard to be turned away somewhere if you ask for help. I understand. It's like, yeah, it's okay. And just I have gluten allergies and so many more allergies, and being hungry wasn't something I'd anticipated today or for the last week. So, if you have anything that I can eat, I would appreciate it. And I swear to God, she saw me. She stared at me like bloody hell. The 20 minutes that I packed that whole bag full. Where is it? Because this is actually I picked this up to make fire. from the floor or from the road. It's like the bark that's been um, like basic fiberized, and that's a very good way to start and kindle basically. Let me see where the bag is, because it kind of literally sort of ran out. So this was there. So oh no, that's not. That's my. I had pasta, but I couldn't buy the canned tomatoes. I had to leave them behind in the store. So then I was just kind of low on things. Oh here. Okay, Lord. So I got mayonnaise, whatever that is, and whipped. And again, I can only eat that like one day, so I'll make sure I'll donate that. And then baby food. Where's the other baby food? So baby food. Again, it's quite a lot there, and they have actually quite some stuff. But that will get me through the times when I can't chew. Oh, there it is, two baby foods, and then the chips. Oh, and there's Thai tea or something. Thai tea, whatever. Thai tea, and chocolate soy. I'm very blessed that she let me basically grab the whole free shelves empty. And they were kind of healthier stuff that she said that people wouldn't eat. I have a good rapport with the captain from Salvation Army. And again, not everyone actually is outstanding in that. I would say anyone I mention in that context is kind of outstanding. So she remembered me 2 years ago. She even knew that it was 2 years ago. And she asked me, I guess, like, well, I was there last year. I was here last year. And she's like, well, why didn't you come by? It's like, oh, I didn't need any help. And that's kind of true. I had Sister Margaret actually send me a box every week. And it was enough to get through with 4 dogs. Remember, because I had rescued Peppy with a broken leg, and it had cost me an arm and a leg. I know, Hami. Oh, Hami, wake up. She's fine, Hami. She's just not as happy as she was with us. Okay, she's fine. Oh, yeah, that was your little girl. Oh, yeah, I know. I get upset when I mention her. It's okay. So Pep, and I think that says something about. I had anticipated when I rescued the dog that if I was going to take on that task or that commitment, that I needed to proactively ask for help. And I think this time, just like the people who just recently sort of like ran off or left in Slab City, the gas prices hiked up. I'm seriously, it's a big difference. $2, like that's actually $20 difference in a tank. And then the distance that I had to drive kind of burned that through right away, like several tanks. And those $20, that's normally if it doesn't go to dog food, it's for me. So that's now went to the gas. So then I got dog food, but I couldn't buy $20 worth of the food I needed to get through a whole week. I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry if that's a little complicated. But that's kind of budget wise, kind of just because I have $10 on me today doesn't mean that I need to hold on to it for next week, basically. To buy, for example, dog food. Or my medical marijuana, because I've noticed that when I run out of that, I actually end up in the ER with these MS symptoms that aren't being documented with tests that you can do in the ER. I actually do use that as a real medication, and California is just too expensive with the 35 or 37% taxes on top of it. And then I lost my medical marijuana card this month because it expired and I don't have $300 worth of like trying to replace that shit. But I'll find a way. I'm just kind of overcome that this is kind of, I hadn't anticipated actually this. I don't know why the gas prices were actually quite okay last month, and it actually was life saving. And then being in Slab City, the marijuana there is in like the deals that I get is Oregon quality, but also Oregon price level. So yeah, because it probably comes from Oregon. But that allowed me to be medicating on a budget and have no problem at all. Actually, it's when I have to leave there that California, then yeah, that I run out and I buy dog food first, and I end up much more sick than that I can disclose, and a little bit of marijuana, or it's actually the oil, the edibles, mostly make a huge difference. I have enough for now, but I because I had anticipated it and I knew in Ritz-Crest there was a cheap deal, and they are very concerned about me being ill, so they give me a better deal. And I could drive to Monterey, but and there is a medical marijuana group that donates quite a large amount of medical marijuana products to me with CBD and THC. I'm talking up to $200 basically whenever I need to or I'm asking for it, but it's too far away, and it's actually interesting. It's not that much worth it to sit stuck there. Anyway, I don't know why I turned it on. But those are just the options, so that you know that I'm not like completely out of options around that. I might need to pick and choose. Because again, the medication regimen that they're pushing in the hospitals are cancer medications. Methotrexate, leflunomide, in high doses, not for a month, but for years. In my organs, when they shut down or overreact in reaction to those drugs, I don't get the care I need. I get the blame that I shouldn't deserve, that I'm just a junkie or just an alcoholic. When my liver shuts down because the Metrocheck said, again, a cancer medication after 12 years shuts it down. I don't know how else to say that, after ulcers and causing ulcers and vision problems in me. The hospital still manages to blame me for being an alcoholic. I'm sorry, I don't drink. I'm too bloody inhibited without alcohol already. I don't need alcohol to be more y'all know, like so. But I think that's where the pattern sort of is triggering for me, of like when I stand up or I need my needs met, just very basic needs, being called alcoholic or tweaker or mentally ill, has little bit to do with me, and that's so painful. Like, it would be very painful if you call me schizophrenic I'm like, yeah, I am, and they're like, you loser, I don't get that. Like, wouldn't you just want to wish me well? But again, like, the fact that it's so objectified in Slab City, that's what's so similar in other systems. Yeah, the system that government governs in Slab City is similarly oppressive and uses the same way to destroy people as in, I don't know if you say Babylon or Babylon, or, but they're not different. Where they could make a difference is supersede that together. And they don't, bro. They don't. Again, I could have a trailer right there right now with a AC and my dog safe and me being able to recover from upcoming surgeries that go, I know, far beyond my teeth. And just having to sit there in the middle of nowhere, yeah, it's nice, it's amazing. But it's not gonna get me through medical care and the access and the declining health I need. And Step City may not be the end means to an end, but it's somewhere where I can budget enough that I can eat every day. And if my tire's being messed with, that I have at least someone to turn to when my phone goes out again, or we have no reception, or they take the live stream away. It's like, there are people alive now, some people are really not worth, like, investing time in it, but I wouldn't say that about a lot of people. It's sort of pick and choose, maybe the timing, or my expectations, or my boundaries, like, but there's always someone who at least is trying to get beyond their own shit at the moment. And I'm one of them, so, and we need more people like me there who aren't afraid to speak up and will look for someone's child or their best friend and speak up about this like patriarchal, like Western colonizing way of controlling things is outdated, and I'm not the only one anymore who doesn't stand for it. Believe me. But it's not y'all who need to believe me, it's people there who even online just kind of maintain that, and so I think it should just sort of turn away. I just haven't found anywhere else really to be somewhere just in that way that you can just be at peace for a minute, that you're able to park and able to know where I can get, like, in the hot springs and so, or even to know who to rob, basically, because I think there's a certain safety in that, and me knowing who is in that category, so I see them coming and we just turn around and we just go on with our day. Like, I don't have to, like, even wonder, like, if there's someone accidentally upsetting my dog or accidentally put the hand out the window. No, there is a group of assholes who use gang stalking harassment techniques there, and I know who they are, and believe me, time will come. One by one. Yeah. So I'm just the last one, like, who I see commenting in threads that people are failures, or I don't know, that they need to stay stuck in jail when they've been attacked. It's really shameful, and I hope that people understand that I'm not stand for that at all, and that I wish that my advocacy and my connections could actually contribute to a like more positive like group dynamic that really supports everyone, but especially those people who need it most. The shit crystal meth has, I didn't say that we need to put up with them. I just need to say, let's come together, all together, to ensure that they know where we stand and that they have a way to survive without harming us, and that they have to figure it out. But we only can force people to do that um, together, and not leave space for retaliation or burning out or just singling out certain people like me or my friend who was just mentally ill and absolutely doesn't understand most of the things. Like, I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know where to go next. There's one more doctor appointment for my jaw next week. The doctor actually is going to work on she's a special therapist actually. That's why we went to this doctor. Thanks to my medical worker as well. Mind again, this person went out of their way to refer me to an out of medical doctor to ensure that I get some care, because he knows that I've been looking for that and advocating for that no matter what has happened. Sorry, I split up my dreadlocks, but then I have two things. Um, and no, it does not look like Lauren Hill at all. Um, but that's okay. Yeah, this is kind of the failed it, not nailed it, Lauren Hill version. Um, but they are coming along fine though, and that's so great about dreadlocks, that each hair like person, it just comes out differently, and then I tied them differently this time. So I'm very curious how they're gonna come out. That said, thank you for listening, and especially for the people who managed to continue to listen. I don't blame you if you've turned it off. I totally understand, but know that I really appreciate you listening, and that I really do miss y'all. Just I don't know, get a chat in the chat room saying, "Hey, breathe for a minute," or "Hey, it's gonna be okay," or have you ever thought of just moving forward to another situation, or it does actually matter? And I think yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to say more about the phone that's broken, and then the battery. Where's the battery? Um, and then these things too. So again, they would give me a whole charge. Now it doesn't even give me 2%. Um, I I think something about um there was this research done with these groups of rats. Like one group of rats was treated really perfectly and great and comfortable in their homes, and then the other group was really mistreated and electroshocked and all of that. And then they put both groups in an amazing environment during the timeout or during the research time, basically, because that was the objective. So they had these amazing times, and there was, I think, even an option to stay for the rats. But once that bell went off, both groups went back to the environments, to the surprise of the researchers, kind of pointing out of that we're habit animals, that no matter how bad it is, that we're going back where we're used to and what's familiar to us, and family or community is often the most familiar to us. Um, because in the end, it sounds almost self hurting, having to even wanting to go back to Slab City or missing it after all that's happened and all the people I've lost there, and the violence that is continuing to be promoted basically through more misleading, like peer pressure and slander. I don't know how else to say it. But like I said, there's a whole big world out there, and anyone can just throw shit out of my car and come drive up at us. And the Confederate, these people, um, they live here for a reason, you know, just like people in Slab City live there for a reason and defend their kind of norms. And the, yeah, I've experienced a direct increase since 9/11. Yeah, since 9/11. But then in once Trump was in office, there's been no controlling to these guys. Because remember, they can assault you and hurt you, and there's nothing in place that allows to like due process for the victim. Um, Specifically, if you have hold certain things like me, and I don't want to even mention them right now. I've mentioned them over and over, but it's it's absolutely too vulnerable, and the fact that other people don't even get that, it's like that's the danger of it. That's what gives these people so much power. And I'm talking about supremacy and watch group George Zimmerman people. And yeah, some of them do drive those squad cars. They like to do this off-road vehicle stuff, and we do have a handful like them in Slab City, and probably more actually, but they tend to stick to themselves a little bit. I know that they were there when I just came back from Arizona, and I didn't want to show up anymore at the range on Saturday, but that people had, a small group of people had burned the Confederate flag there that night, and I got concerns from friends who had gotten threats there and then already, like that there was a handful of Confederate people and they were not feeling this at all. Um, but that this goes unnoticed. It, even if even I had mentioned the harassment experience that I experienced at the hand of the type of people, and that it's much more organized than I believe it's at the moment. Yeah, anyone has awareness of that. Like, I know I'm not the only one. I know that, but um, yeah, I don't feel safe anymore. Being harassed everywhere I'm in, and that started last year when I got the dog, and they were set up me not having the dog, and so I know there was a connection with Slapsy, and that person has apologized, but given that I know and look back now that I wasn't crazy and that my car was already being controlled then, like the windows and the alarm and what was it? I think it was the door. Um, I just thought I was crazy, but I don't know what's up with like people can be crazy and still be harassed. In fact, Lynn, like in Slab City, has kind of a bad reputation, but because she sort of has to like fight herself really out, that people aren't fucking with her. And yes, she has um paranoia and episodes, but she's aware of that, and that doesn't make her less of a person. Or I wouldn't try to like publicly like shame her or like push her over the edge, and that's what they exactly did with me. And even though they made it look like it was about schizophrenia and paranoia, they really were violent around trauma and re-traumatizing me wherever they could. So the day of the anniversary of the assault from the jaw that was broken with a long stick from the side, like this, with a dojo stick. The morning that I walked into the oasis or towards the oasis, and someone is following me with like beating a stick like this and laughing and screaming and not letting me get away. It's just kind of like there was no coincidence about that. And it happened another time again that this person intensely comes and cut my line at getting water, and then literally like on purpose snap that stick towards me that almost hit me, and then walks and then does that several times, and then just walks off laughing and just really mean, like really letting me know that there was no coincidence about it. And those are just a few of the examples, but it's like that's trauma related. Accessing my car and turning on the alarm and opening the windows and accessing my car and how to say that, tampering with my medication and uh, like ripping my flag apart. Those it it's really scary, to be honest. Like that you can't stop that, and that they let me know that they can take the car at any time they want by anyone basically who has that code. Um, I don't understand that people exist are able to instill so much fear in other people that they access your car like overtly, get your dogs out of the car, have a dog attack me. And I'm sorry, I literally have nightmares every single day of what went down there, and then I see people being trashed online. It just like rips me apart. It's someone's child, and like, no, I know that person. I know her. Um, but I can't tell a mom that that that, that her daughter doesn't stand a chance. Like, I can tell her that she's still alive.